The Corvidfolk. The first name, the Black Watchers. In the oldest surviving tales of Aetherfall, before kingdoms had borders or years had names, there were said to be things that wore the shape of crooked crows, but spoke with stolen voices. These were not yet called Corvidfolk. They were known only as the Black Watchers, creatures believed to have crawled out of the broken trees after a great storm of ash and lightning. They were thought to be demons, not because they bore horns or fire, but because they understood people too well. The Luring Myth. Early myths say that the Black Watchers could not create voices of their own. Instead, they borrowed them. A mother would hear her child calling from the tree line. A child would hear a sibling laughing just beyond the fog. Hunters heard companions calling for help long after those companions were dead. The voices were never quite right, too calm, too patient. They often repeated the same phrases, but those who did not notice this detail rarely lived long enough to warn others. Children were said to be the easiest prey, not because they were weak, but because they trusted sound more than sight. Old rhymes warn, if the voice calls twice the same, turn your back and speak no name. The shape of the creature. Some say there were ravens the size of men, walking upright with wings folded like cloaks. Others insist they were thin, blackened figures with beaks hidden behind bone masks, only revealing their true faces when they fed. What all versions agree on: their eyes were glossy and unblinking. Their shadows moved before they did. When they spoke, their beaks never opened. The eating of names. One of the darkest myths claims the Black Watchers did not merely eat flesh, they ate names. After a child would vanish, people would forget how to say the child's name correctly. Later, even their faces would fade from memory. This led to the belief that the creatures fed on identity, not hunger alone, and that being remembered was a kind of protection. This belief shaped early customs. Children were given hidden names known only to parents. True names were never spoken aloud in forests or near old ruins. Ravens were never killed for fear of angering something that remembered you too well. From demon to Corvidfolk. Centuries later, when settlements grew and monsters became rarer, scholars began to question the old stories. They proposed that the Black Watchers were not demons at all, but a people warped by fear and retelling. A race that evolved alongside early humans, learning mimicry as survival rather than malice. Thus, they gained a new name, Corvidfolk. But even in modern Aetherfall, parents still fall silent when a raven lands too close to a window, and no one answers a familiar voice calling from the dark unless they can see the speaker's face. The wings of the Corvidfolk. At first glance, the Corvidfolk look tall, around 4 to 5 feet, raven-shaped humanoids with a slight hunch in their normal posture. But a closer look reveals something unusual. What were once wings are now arms that resemble more feathered bat wings with 4 talon hands. Long, elegant feathers fill the void under the arms, giving them the signature silhouette. However, these wings cannot lift them into the air anymore. Long ago, their ancestors may have flown, but today the wings remain only as leftover parts from the past and are preened and maintained as status symbols inside the Corvidfolk culture. Scientists call these vestigial wings. This means they no longer serve their original purpose. Wings that still react. Even though they cannot fly, only glide over small distances, the wings are still active in other ways. The Corvidfolk's wings move almost on their own when they feel strong emotions. They may twitch when surprised, tighten when frightened, or spread slightly when curious. These movements happen without thinking, much like how humans shiver when cold. This sometimes causes social problems when Corvidfolk find themselves surprised or curious in densely populated areas. The wings also react to sound. Loud noises or familiar voices often cause the feathers to ruffle. This may be linked to their sharp hearing and talent for copying sounds. The wings help the Corvidfolk in other ways. They improve balance when climbing or running, just as a human would use their own arms to keep balance on a thin beam. They may also help with knowing where sounds are coming from. Any Corvidfolk who does not maintain their wings or attempt to reject them in some way often find it difficult to balance themselves or navigate familiar trails or routes. Why people feared them. In the past, humans did not understand these movements. Seeing shadows shift across a Corvidfolk's back made the people believe the wings moved on their own. At night, the quiet twitching of feathers looked unnatural and frightening. This is one reason early stories called them demons. A living reminder of the past. Today, the Corvidfolk's wings remind us that not all body parts disappear when they stop being useful. Some change their purpose instead. What once carried their ancestors through the sky now shows their feelings and connects them to a long and mysterious history. Corvidfolk, their role in society. For generations, the Corvidfolk were feared and avoided. Many believed their voices brought danger. But as settlements grew and different peoples began to live closer together, a new understanding emerged. Observers began to notice that these raven-like humanoids played an important role in the communities around them. The Corvidfolk have an unusual ability to listen closely. They can copy sounds, accents, and speech patterns after hearing them only once. This allows them to learn new languages quickly and move easily between cultures. In busy trade cities, Corvidfolk are often seen acting as translators or messengers. They do more than repeat words. They listen for tone and emotion, helping others understand what is truly being said. Unlike many cultures that rely on writing, Corvidfolk store knowledge in sound. Songs, laws, and stories are passed down exactly as they were first spoken. Elders can repeat speeches given generations ago, keeping not only the words, but also the feeling behind them. In some regions, these living records are trusted more than written documents. Corvidfolk senses are always alert. Their sharp hearing and restless movements make them excellent watchers. They are often placed on walls, towers, or high ground. At night, when others sleep, Corvidfolk remain awake, listening. Many towns protected by Corvidfolk notice danger earlier and suffer fewer surprise attacks. Because they can hear stress and hesitation in speech, Corvidfolk are often asked to help settle disputes. They do not judge guilt or innocence, but they help others notice when words do not match intent. Their presence encourages careful speech and calmer discussions. Corvidfolk culture places great importance on sound. Their music is made of layered voices, echoes, and repeated rhythms. One performer may speak for many characters, shifting voices with ease. Public gatherings often include Corvidfolk storytellers. These events bring different peoples together and help build shared traditions. Names and memory matter deeply to the Corvidfolk. They lead ceremonies meant to honour the dead and remember those who might otherwise be forgotten. This practice stands in contrast to old myths that claim they stole names. In truth, they work to protect them. Corvidfolk pay close attention to the natural world. They notice changes in animal calls, wind patterns, and weather. Many serve as forest wardens or border watchers. Their observations help communities respond to fires, storms, or environmental damage before it spreads. Having long lived as outsiders, Corvidfolk are skilled at navigating social boundaries. They understand unspoken rules and adapt quickly to new customs. This makes them valuable traders and travellers. Wherever they go, they help connect people who might otherwise remain divided. Changing old stories. Today, the Corvidfolk stand as a reminder of how fear can shape myths. Once seen as monsters, they are now understood as neighbours. Their presence teaches an important lesson that listening closely and patiently can change how a story ends.
Helvek.